Hey there, welcome back to the BBNaija Lockdown highlight updates brought to you by every NG. And of course, my name is Judith, as excited as ever to bring you the updates from day 45 and 46. Yes, we have gone that far. Now, before we start with the highlight updates, I want you to subscribe to our channel, like our video, and share with your friends, your families, your enemy. Everybody deserves to see this video. Now, let's go into the video proper. Now, we're starting from day 45, and there was a workout session, and for the first time in a long time, Dorothy was actually doing something. Like, she was on the yoga mat trying to at least stretch her limbs here and there, because if you know Dorothy, you know that once it's time to work out, she's on the bench just staring at every other person doing nothing. So yeah, Dorothy was working out on these days. I decided, let me show them, let me remind them that Dorothy can do something. Now, moving on from that scene, we go to the part where Lucy was really upset about something, and of course her two closest friends in the house, Dorathy and Prince, decided to talk to her. Now, before that scene, they had rehearsed for their wager task, and the wager was to pay tribute to the housemates that had left the house. So while they were trying to mimic Katrina, I beg your pardon, who was like really close to Lucy while she was in the house, they brought up the fighting scenes, because Katrina fought a lot in the house, if we are being honest. So they brought up those scenes, and Lucy didn't find it funny that they were painting her in that light. Of course, she aired her opinions, and it wasn't taken well by some people, but they decided to change it anyway. So after walking out, they decided to talk to Lucy and tell her that, look, chill, babe, there's no point being angry every time your opinion is not taken. It's like, that's not even why I'm angry. I don't like the way you painted my friend. So get you a friend like Lucy that will fight your battle even when you're not there. Anyway, Negi and Ozo again in our screens, and this time around they're talking about taking baby steps. So Negi was telling Ozo that he's being too fast, especially with their relationship and their friendship or whatever it is that they had in the house. And he just should take baby steps. And I was like, you know me, my girl, I'm not a baby steps kind of guy. I like to jump, I like to fly, I like to crawl all at the same time. But it looks like Negi wasn't happy. Like, she wasn't happy with how fast their relationship was going, so she had to just tell also her mind. Anyway, they had a task that day, and it was from the mobile phone company that sponsored the show. So to pick their teams, they actually had to do a mini task to pick their teams. I'm just like, why are you stressing these people? Give them their team members so that they can move on with their lives and just do what they want to do. So, they had to do like a spelling bee. These are the class of people that did not do what, that did not learn when they were teaching them English, because some people were spelling some really funny things. But anyway, they had a spelling bee, and that was how they were able to divide themselves into different groups to now move on to the next stage. So when they got into their groups, V found herself in a group with Nengi and Erica. Now, if you know the history between V and Erica, they are not particularly friendly. They don't like themselves, and it was so obvious. So V was complaining to Neo, like, I don't like the fact I found myself in a group with Erica, and she was just saying what she wanted to say, and Neo was like, chill, just have fun, babe. I mean, just try. It's money. This is not about friendship. This is about your money. So work for your money. But anyway, V was consoled by the fact that Nengi was in the team, and Nengi was kind of close to her. So she was just like, oh well, I have Nengi, so that's good news. I'll just ignore her, like she's not part of the team. Now, after talking about that, the phone company decided, let me give these people some fan love. And this was the second time that their fans came to speak to them. Everybody was so happy. Kidwa was forming cool, like, whatever. But you could tell deep down that, our fans, I'm excited. Negi was just taken aback. She was so happy. She was excited. And then Ozo got his own, but he was like, cool, whatever. Neo, you know how extra Neo can be. Neo was just jumping around the place and shouting, oh my god. So there's this particular person that he wanted a shout out from. Even Prince knew the person. So when he got that shout out, he went berserk. He was happy. He was excited. So yeah, after the fans showed love, we now went to a scene in the kitchen where Erica was talking to Neo. Now, it's so funny that Erica and V are not friends, but Erica and Neo are friends. So while they were in the kitchen, they were just talking, and Erica is like, look, I'm so scared to see if Biggie decides to play everything that's been happening in the head of house lounge. I am finished, especially seeing that before I came into this house, I had a friend who told me, don't do anything stupid. And he was like, I beg, you're 26, you're just 4 years away from 30, nobody should be telling you what to do. All those things are just be gingering somebody. When you're doing something, all those friends that when you're getting into trouble, they'll be giving you ginger. Do it, you're a big boy, you're a big girl. That's new. That's exactly what he did. So he told Erica that, look, you're already 26, you're a big girl, do what you want to do. And then Neil, very nosy, he was not using style to ask, so what happened? Was it not just kissing a kiss? Erica was like, not really. And then he mentioned a couple other things, and she's like, we went even further than that. And I'm like, okay, let's just pray that Biggie doesn't play the clip, because she was like, I'm even so embarrassed. If Biggie plays the clip, I don't know what I am going to do. We've seen it already, or did we? Oh well. So yeah, after that they went on to the task. It was a really cool task. They were supposed to take pictures, colorful pictures, and then pictures in nighttime mode, and the people did what they had to do. Even V and Erica, that didn't get along so well, they still had to do what they had to do, and eventually the task was over. Now after the task finished, Prince decided to educate the housemates. Did you know that Prince was a pilot? I didn't know too, because the way he was talking about piloting and space and extraterrestrial things, I was just like, shit, this guy is a pilot. So yeah, he was actually discussing with the housemates. And while Chikiti and Prince were of the belief that, look, there's something outside Earth, there's something else, extra signs of life and extraterrestrial stuff, Laycon was just like, I beg, what are you talking about? It's just us, we are the only ones existing, there's nothing else. So Prince now decided to educate the housemates further, and he was talking, and I was looking like, how did this boy know all these things? Because all the housemates could tell that all their attention was on Prince. He was actually saying stuff, and it was making sense. So Prince is a really smart guy. Forget his very annoyingly competitive side. He's a smart guy. So yeah, after talking about that, then the camera moved to a conversation that Erica and Kidwaya were having. Now this conversation, when it happened at the time, it actually caused a stir on the internet, because Erica felt like Kidwaya wasn't giving her enough. Kidwaya wasn't showing her other parts of him, and Kidwaya even accepted, like, look, I know I'm not showing you other parts of me, but it's just because this is not the correct environment, this is not the right environment for that to happen. And then Erica was like, look, you've made plans with almost everybody in this house. You said, oh, I'm going to link up with you in London, I'm going to link up with you in Dubai, but you've never actually made personal plans with me, considering the kind of relationship we have. And Kid is like, I don't want to make a promise and feel like, imagine I say I'll link up with you in Lagos, and then it doesn't pull through, and then you start bugging me like, oh, we said you're going to link up. I'm just like, wow, it's a cold-hearted man here, because for somebody that you're so close to, it's expected that you try to, as much as possible, to link up with the person, to spend more time with the person, but Kid wasn't even having it. And then he made a statement that literally tore Erica's heart. You could tell from her face that she was like, what? So he's like, I don't want to lead you on because I haven't made up my mind about you yet. Wahoo. Anyway, that was how we ended day 45 in the lockdown house, and we quickly moved on to day 46. Now the thing is, these housemates, they play a lot, and sometimes the play just goes overboard, and next thing you know, Ebuka is bringing it up on Sunday. And that was exactly what Dorathy was trying to avoid with Laycon. So they were in the kitchen making breakfast, doing their chores, and Laycon literally said, Dora, you used and dumped me. Okay, let me give you a backstory to that gist. So there was a time that Dora was ill and she was cold, and she called Laycon to keep her warm. I know. So she called Laycon to keep her warm, and the next day Laycon was like, okay, I stayed on Dora's bed, so I want to spend the second night. And Dora was like, okay, I'm feeling good, I don't need you anymore, so shoo. So Laycon initially felt used, and that day during breakfast when he was talking with Dora, he said it jokingly, but maybe there was an element of seriousness in that statement. He's like, Dora, you used and dumped me, I'm going to tell everybody. And Dora was like, look, stop saying this. Before on Sunday now, they start asking me questions that I don't want to answer. Please, help me, So yeah, we moved past that phase. They just laughed about it and moved on. Now they had a task that day, and it was from the pharmaceutical brand. So the housemates were supposed to pick teammates, and of course the head of house, Erica, and her deputy Prince were given the responsibility to select one person each, the way they usually pick when Biggie wasn't giving them teams. And then Erica started picking, Prince picked, and it was down to one person, Lucy. So Erica asked Lucy to come join her group, and next thing you know, Lucy's like, please, I don't want to join your group. I want to be on the other group, because Erica and Kidwaya were in the same group. And people are like, okay, why don't you want to be? She's like, well, Kid has said he doesn't want to work with me before, so why would I put myself in the position where I have to work with him? So at first it looked like everything was settled until Neil said something. He was like, look, babe, you cannot be doing this every time. I know Neil, when he's gingered like his entire energy, everything. So he was like, you can't keep doing this. If Big Brother was the one that shared these groups, you would not say you don't want to be in that group. So stop making things difficult for everybody and do what you're asked to do. Like, be a team player. So while Neil started, Lucy started fighting him. Like, why are you saying that? I don't want to be in the group. He has said it before. He doesn't want to be in a group with me. So why would I want to be in a group with him? And after Neil gingered for a bit and he shouted and shouted, he just went back to his seat. Now after that, Prince now got really upset because as the deputy head of house, it was his responsibility alongside Erica to make sure that the house was in one piece, no fighting, no squabbles and all whatnot. But what Lucy did really got to him, to the point where he was screaming. Literally, he was shouting like, what do you mean? If it was Biggie that did this, he has asked you to give us the same respect when we're head of house. And you know how Prince can be now, alpha male, yada yada yada. So after shouting, Lucy got upset and it became a shouting match. And before we knew what was happening, Erica joined in. Like, Kidwaya had to stand in her way to just make sure that, look, you already have a strike. You are not trying to get a second strike. So please, I beg in the name of God, stay where you are. This fighting is... And she's like, when would they give me a strike for shouting? The girl is acting funny. And they fought and fought and fought. So that was how it happened though. But anyway, they moved off from that fight really quickly and they had to adjust because money is to be made. And they went on to the task. Really amazing presentation because they were supposed to do like a dramatic TV commercial for the brand just to highlight, okay, this particular drug is not bitter, is this, is that. So they all did their best. And funny enough, the group that Lucy joined won the task. I know, like, it was like something just administered has just moved from Kidwaya's group or whatever it was, but Prince's group won the task, and Prince's group had Lucy, had Laycon, and Neo and Dorathy as well. So yeah, they won that task. So remember that I mentioned in previous day that they had a task, a wager presentation to make, and it was to pay tributes to the former housemates that had been evicted. Now it was time to present this task, and it was so hilarious because while Erica said, oh look, Tricky T is going to be our presenter for the day, he's going to be our host, Tricky T came on, and when Tricky T came on, next thing you know, I just saw somebody. I was like, oh, who is this? It was Prince. He came in with stuffed pants and he wore like a wig and he was just walking. And then before I knew, everybody could guess that it was Katrina that he was talking about because, boss lady, liposuction or whatnot. And it was just so hilarious. But yeah, he depicted Katrina. Then another really funny one was when Ozo came to play Tochi. Now I remember very well, most fans were confused about Tochi's accent. Are you American? Are you Igbo? Are you just a regular guy? What accent do you have exactly? Because sometimes he's talking and he's just speaking in it, one a Ghana. And next time he's talking, he's like, who took my white singlet? So yeah, that was exactly what Ozo did. He was like, Tochi will just come and be like, I beg you, guys, I beg, who's in my white singlet? So I hide for outside. So yeah, that was really hilarious. And then he also played the American part. It was just funny. And then something really, really tricky happened immediately after that, and it was Neo. Neo was supposed to play Tolani Badge. I remember the week that Tolani Badge left, that Sunday was a bam week because, Ebuka played a video or just reminded the housemates of the time where Tolani Badge was confiding in Erica and saying that she found Neo really attractive. Yup, she said that, and V took it to her. She's like, why would you say that? You know that this guy is my man. Why would you do this? You're a betrayer. Considering the fact that Tolani Badge and V were really close to the point of calling themselves sisters at a point. So V just felt really, really betrayed by that, and this name Tolani Badge alone was already pissing her off. So it was obvious that even when they were talking about the task, she was trying so hard to avoid calling Tolani's name. And then when Neo was playing his Tolani Badge thing and flipping his hair and saying, get it right, gang, gang, we were just like, whatever, moving on. You could tell from her face that she was just irritated. She didn't even want to have it. But after that presentation, they said their goodbyes, they went their way, and the housemates proceeded to play a game of police and thief. Now, you could just tell that these people were missing home, they were missing their childhood, because you see grown people, like nobody there was younger than 22. You see them playing, I'm shooting, I'm doing this. They were just having the time of their lives. At the point, we was like, Tricky, no human being has the amount of bullets in their gun. Stop shooting. So you could tell that the housemates were having fun. They were hiding from the picture. You just see that, oh my god, Agbayas, all of you, Agbayas. So yeah, after playing that game, they just went home, went to bed. I said home like they were going to their houses, but they went to bed to sleep. And of course, before they go to bed, they will always have discussions, just say one or two gists before people start sleeping off one after the other. And while they were in bed, Erica came to meet Lucy just to sort out what happened earlier in the day. And Lucy was like, look, I wasn't even angry at you. The person I was talking to was Neo. Neo was one that started, like, we had already cleared this thing, and then Neo now escalated it and just made it a big deal before Prince started shouting, and then you joined in. Now, the particular person that should have been affected by my statements, Kidwire, didn't even say anything. And Erica was like, look, I don't have a problem with you, aside the fact that you're not a great team player. And Lucy sometimes can get a bit defensive, and she was like, look, this she was explaining herself, and next thing, Prince came in, because Prince was in the room when Erica came. He was trying not to, put himself into the conversation, but at the point he just couldn't take it. He's like, did you not hear Biggie when he said respect your head of house? At that point, there was money to be made, there was a task to do. You could have put out your personal, sentiments aside to do the task, and then it became a shouting match again. And Lucy started fighting with Prince, and Dorathy has to come in like, Lucy, when you're wrong, accept that you're wrong. And that was how all of them fought. Now Lucy said that, look, she doesn't even consider them her real friends anymore, which was really hurtful to Prince. You could tell when he was fine, like, I'm one that has consoled you the most in this house. I have given you, words of motivation, inspiration. I have protected you from so many things, and for you to turn around and tell me that you don't consider me my friend, that's nonsense. And then Lucy, she's like, the fact that you consoled me didn't mean anything. I'm just like, wow. Everywhere, violence left, violence right, violence center. So yeah, after that fight, everybody went their separate ways, but you could tell that things would not be the same between Lucy, Prince, and Dorathy again, and that was just how it happened till she left the house. Now after that, we now moved on to Negi and Ozo again. Now the day before, they had spoken about taking things a bit slowly, but Ozo is not a man to take things slowly. He likes to fly, like he said. But Negi decided to be a bit firm with him this time. She's like, look, Ozo, I don't want you on my bed anymore. The kind of relationship we have doesn't exactly require you staying on my bed. Like, it doesn't make sense for you to stay on my bed when we're not even cool like that. And Ozo was like, okay, I thought we're heading somewhere. Well, she has stopped that train. Everybody go to your house. So yeah, that was how we ended day 46 in the BBNaija Lockdown house for the highlights. And I also look forward to giving you more of these highlights. So if you want to catch more of that, don't forget to stay tuned to every NG, because we are giving you the gist as it drops. Until next time, my name is Judith, and I want you to stay safe. Bye.